Hello, we're here with the Chosen Podcast. I'm your host, Reno Brooks. This is just a podcast for people to learn to become who they created to be. So today we have Ron. Ron is a member of United along with me. He works beside me in many different things. The main role he works with me on is the the audio team in our church. And me and him got to know each other few years back, and he can actually
Mm.
share that, and he can share his journey and who he is. So, Ron, I'm glad to have you on, and you
Yep.
can introduce yourself.
Yep. Sure. Yep. As Reno said, we both go to United together. We met at United a few years. Uh, Ironically enough, our personalities are on the surface very different. And our interactions um played out that way. We Reno was much more of I'm gonna speak my mind, and I'm much more of I'm a hold it back. And through those interactions, he's helped me to relax a little bit and not being as critical. Um, and so we so a little bit about me. My name is Ron Hunter. I'm 42 years old. Working with the patent office currently. I work with helping people file online. I've been married 9 years. Just celebrated that this past March. And most importantly, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, great. Yeah, Ron, that's funny because he said I help him, but he's helping me how to just dial back some of some of my energy. I guess I could say that's one of his favorite things: energy. He's
Oh
energy
yeah.
for people and things like that. So, 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 Ron, what was life like for you growing up?
Yeah, a lot of moving. When I was born in Denver, Colorado. My dad was in the Air Force. I was only there for like maybe 2 years, and then we moved to Florida. And in Florida, if you remember, in 1991, 92, there was a Hurricane Andrew that came through, did a lot of damage down there. We had to move out. From then on, my dad stayed down in Florida. Me and my mom and my sister. We moved from there to Georgia, from Georgia to Maryland, from Maryland to Detroit, from
Wow.
Detroit to Arizona, from Arizona to Germany, and then from Germany we came back here, back to Maryland. So it was a lot of moving. By the time I graduated, I had been through 9 different schools, um, lived in 12 different places, I think 13 different places. So it was a lot of traveling growing up.
So I take it the traveling, it was probably hard to find your identity
Oh
in
yeah.
moving and moving in so many different places. And I guess for that, at what age, between what ages was this?
Pretty, pretty much elementary. So I want to say first grade, second grade. Yeah, definitely about second grade is when we first started to have to move until high school. I graduated high school here at Bowie High School. That's where I graduated from. But I spent all that time moving. And like you said, it's so one thing I relished in. So I want to appreciate because I know some of my family, some people in some places, don't get a chance to have a lot of those experiences. I know people in Detroit that have grown up and stayed there, and then they haven't been outside, been able to see some of the world. I've been to London, I've been to Czechoslovakia, so I've had a lot of experiences. But one thing I've always relished in was when I go to a place and you hear people that be like, "Hey, I've known this person my whole life. I've known them since elementary school. I've known them since middle school. We went to preschool. I missed that. So there's a lot of having to adapt. You can imagine going to different places. You're always a new person. You have to adapt to the new situation. So that can be shaky for a foundation um, when you're growing up to find your identity.
Yeah, I can imagine that. So, so as you was going through and trying to develop yourself from elementary and moving and walking through life, how do you believe that God used that process for you to where you are now. So before your relationship with Christ, or what was your life like before, you know, recognizing or introducing or allowing Christ to be that center for you? You know, where do you, you know, where did you find your identity? What was it like before that? And what is it like now that you have it, that you're still using the same tools for when you understand and
Yeah.
recognize through that experience of that okay, God did that for now.
Yeah, sure. I want to say fortunately and unfortunately. I would definitely say so, I wasn't typical in the sense of when coming up. I wasn't a person that I didn't want to party a lot. I didn't have a lot of aspirations career wise.
Hmm.
Um, so I never got into like clubs and drinking, like going. I never did those things. I want to say fortunately and unfortunately because a lot of times that kind of drives people, being now it doesn't say I didn't have some of that wanting to be popular, but the main things that people get into, I didn't have a lot of that. So I was always like a deep thinker. I was always like, oh, well, what's the purpose of things? Why am I here kind of thing. And that always kind of left me with a empty feeling. So I chose my field of study at the time, which was going to be medical biology or medical biologist, which is kind of discovering cures. I just fell into that. I decided I just was like, oh, that's just something I want to do. Not something there was a passion for. Just was like, well, you gotta grow up, you gotta make money, you gotta have a job. So, I guess that's good. And so I started doing that, but there was never a drive to succeed, um, in that sense. So when I became a believer, so I mean, this is kind of going into how I came to Christ, was sometime in my it was 1998. This is when I was in Germany. I remember being in the service, and the preacher called, and he was doing the altar call, doing the asking for people if they wanted to have a relationship with Jesus. And, again, me, I'm a background person. I don't want to be in front. I don't really want to be seen. So it's ironic because I'm on the podcast, but I'd rather I can be out front, but especially when I was a young age. So you have, walking from the back of the aisle, having to get up and stand up. And I was the only person at the time, coming up to the front saying, I feel like God was calling to me and speaking to me about, something that was deep that was missing. um, and realizing that there is purpose. This is how we start. God created us with purpose in mind. He created us out of love. So that whole feeling that there is that pull and that desire, that's what kind of that shifted things for me. Now I wasn't discipled, so things still went awry. I was out. So it's kind of, yeah. Still in the mindset of more like what Paul would be like. Well, to live is Christ, but to die is gain. It's better for me to be with Christ than to be on the earth, because again, they were still not finding where the purpose was. But there was a shift from just nothing, just survival, to there is something beyond this.
Yeah, and when you was talking about when you was younger and you wanted to be what was a biologist,
Medical biologist, yeah.
medical biologist, and when you saying when you was younger and you got called up, well, he had an altar call and you was gonna come up. Uh, in my spirit, I was thinking about it. Took me back to um, the young man who had the fish and the loaves of the fish, the little
Hmm.
lunch, and God took that kid and took that lunch and multiplied it, and it
Mm,
made me think of how we could be young or old or whatever, but God sees everyone, and He takes what you have
right.
to use it for Himself, because
Yeah.
everything leads back to Him. So while you was talking, I was like, it just took me back to, can you imagine a little kid, thousands of people there, hundreds of people
Yeah.
there, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, would you?" And then he
Right.
multiplies it, and
Right.
that
Right.
kid was used. That kid was used to demonstrate God's power And
Yeah, right.
when I was thinking about you younger and moving about, God was still mindful of you to then say, you know what, I need what you have. And that's what he does for all of us. He tells for every one of us, there's an opportunity for God to use what you have. And that's what learn to become who you created to be. It's God can use what you have right where you are and whoever you are, whatever your circumstances was growing up. He will use what you have to benefit him. So
Yeah,
that's
and that's it's interesting you bring that up because I'm just thinking about when the disciples the disciples go up to Jesus and they're like they're saying that people are hungry.
right.
And then Jesus is like, well, you feed them. I was like, what? Of what? I mean, it's kind of like what you're saying. This is all we have. And
Right.
the Lord, when it's in the Lord's hand, it's more than enough.
Yes.
Because the Lord is the one who does this. The Lord is the one who multiplies. It's the one who gives the increase in what
Yes.
we do. So whatever we're bringing to Him, that is Him that's doing it. So
Right.
there's nothing too small because
Right.
it's Him. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's good. Yeah.
Exactly. So that just came to mind. And then looking back, were there moments where you felt lost or unsure of who you were?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, I just growing up with a just a sense of curiosity. I was very, I want to say nihilistic. There was this sense of like, which is true. So the funny thing is, my thinking was true to someone who's not a believer, someone who just believes in the sense of biology and nature. It has no purpose at the end of the day. You function just because you function. So there's no ultimate end. It's just so if you don't have a passion for things and life is just about you just surviving for you to die, then it just becomes very depressing. So I'm just thinking about like, okay, well, I'm gonna grow up, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna do these things, and then it all ends, and then what's the purpose of that at the end? So there was a lot of sense of like, because again, I didn't have that natural innate like I want to be this that
Mhm.
drove me. I just had more of a questions of like, well, what's the purpose of doing those things? Um, if at the end of the day it's just not gonna count for anything. And so there was a lot of me trying to figure out like, oh, and then just why am I different in my way of thinking than those around me? Why am I thinking so much about these types of things? And well, I mean, God used it because it was true. Like there is no purpose apart from Him. Without Him, there's nothing that's of value. And it's interesting when Jesus had an interaction with Peter, and there's some disciples had just left, or some people had just left after Jesus. I'm trying to think of where it was, but he's expressing. I think he gives a parable, and they leave, and then Jesus asks Peter, "Well, are you going to leave also?" And Peter says, "Where else am I going to go? You alone have the words of life." Like that's how it is. It's like there is nowhere else to go. And so it's just a sense of trying to find something. And then there was a time of me trying to fit in with some of the crowd and then go out and do, and then wanting to be popular from the sense of just wanting to have some notoriety, to have some value, to seek some value. So there was a lot of doing that, or just to be a good kid to my mother, not
Right.
having problems,
Yes.
doing well in school, being talked of well in the family. There's a lot of that since
Yeah.
that's where I found my identity.
Yeah. So I guess and doing well and being talked about well, it probably caused you to maybe
Oh
suppress
yeah,
more
absolutely.
because you had this inner battle, and that probably caused it to. And that's like the opposite for people who grew up like me, who was always in the spotlight of things,
Mhm.
and then trying to continually to live up to that. When you basically it comes to a point where it runs out. It comes to a
Yeah.
point where your athletic ability, if you're athletic, your singing ability, it comes to a point where your
Hmm.
ability in the world runs out. And
Mm,
and
right.
based on world standards, you just like everybody else now. And that's why
Mhm.
and that's why then the struggles start coming after the child star is finished with their sitcom, and now
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
they just left there, and they
Yeah.
trying to find the next step when they don't have any plan. Part of my book is one section is without a plan,
Mm,
and to something you said is where you taught to get a job, you taught to make money, you taught to this. You're a man, you provide for your family, but I was a person that didn't have a plan. So after the athletic ability, after being in the band, after being a popular one at school, and then after I graduated, it was just me left with, I'm not going to college. I'm not that athlete I thought I was. I didn't go. I didn't grow past 5'7". My grades was at a 1 point something grade point average. To be honest, I didn't even know grade point averages made a difference. That's
mm,
how much I was out of the loop in what I needed to do, because grade point average to me was what was that. So
mm,
so it's the opposite. You could be the quiet one who doesn't have a plan,
mhm,
that don't know what to do because
mhm,
Christ's not in it, or you could be the energy one who has thought you had it, the popular one, you don't have a plan, and
yep,
it just leads me back to when God is guiding you in a direction. I think He brings you to the point where He has a plan. Your plan for the world is not what's going to happen. So
mhm,
stop that. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
yeah, you're right. You don't have a plan
mhm,
because I have a plan for you. And
mhm,
I just want once you realize that I am the God who's going to rescue you. Once you realize that I have everything in my hands for you. Once you give that up, then you go, okay, Lord, I get it. But before them, you just left out to dry.
yeah,
That's what you're thinking.
yep,
And then,
yep.
so, what were some of your struggles and challenges that shaped your early life?
Well, certainly my parents divorced when I was in high school. So I was simultaneously also in a relationship, my first love relationship. So my parents going to divorce, and it was really messy. This is my 10th grade year, and so that was the time that we were moving back to the states. And so my mom was taking us, and my dad was staying in Germany. My relationship with the person I was with at the time was also in Germany. So I had a long distance relationship from Bowie, Maryland, to to Mannheim, Germany. And you can imagine this is before cell phones, so you got calling cards, and then there's time difference. So it was actually that time I was suicidal. I was since my purpose. So what my purpose ended up becoming was, especially after the divorce, was okay. If this family is not going to work, I'm gonna make my own family work. So all my energy is put to, I'm gonna have my own family where there's gonna be acceptance, there's gonna be love. And so you can imagine then, if my first love and that relationship and dynamic over that distance, it's not going well, along with, and then we couldn't even visit because at the time, because of like just the nature of the divorce, that my mother didn't want us to be over there with my father. So then it just wasn't even a chance to see. So everything that I had put my energy towards had kind of uh crumbled down. And so that put me into a very bad space mentally. But I think God be it's so funny. So there was a time that I planned on, I'm looking back on it, and now I want to ask myself, did I really plan on doing it, or was I just saying it? And it's even hard for me to tell now. But at the time, I had did my girlfriend actually came over to the States. She had graduated because she was a year ahead of me, and I had finally got my own car. My mom had been telling me, once you get your own car, you can do what you want. And she was in Vermont, so I was like, I got my own car. I'm gonna make my way up to Vermont, to see my girlfriend. And we was a lot of, as you can probably think, that there's a lot of on and off again when you're in a long distance relationship like that. And it still was long distance by the time she came around because I'm still in Bowie.
Right.
There's a lot of ups and downs. And so I went there, and at some point it was just so bad that I was just like, you know what, I'm just not gonna, I'm gonna commit suicide. And I told her, and the the she got a she now this is how I remember it feeling wise. You know,
Right.
when you're
Right.
in
I
there, your
got it.
feelings are the one
Right.
that dictating it, not the
Right.
logic. I remember her being very dismissive on it, and this is why it doesn't make any sense. And when she was dismissive on it, she was like, you know what? Since you're so dismissive, I'm not going to do it. I'm in spite of you.
Right.
That's
Right.
why I say it doesn't make any kind of sense. It's just the Lord. Because like,
Right.
well, if
Right.
you really planned on doing it, why would that matter? She was like, because what I really wanted to do was I wanted to be seen. Kind
Right.
of going back to what you're saying before, it's just if you think about like a you know the snake game where it's like you gotta it's like the little 2-bit or 8 bits game where it's a little snake eating its tail. You gotta keep turning and spinning around, and you gotta the longer you get, the more you eat, the longer the snake gets, and you have this like a little rectangular square,
Right.
and the snake is longer. You can't go back on yourself because the game
Right.
will end. So
Right.
you get longer and longer, but you're pressled into this little space, right?
Oh wow.
And so that's what it is. Like I'm spinning and I'm trying to maintain into this little itty bitty space in my mind and in my personality. I'm trying to be respectful. I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to be loving. Um, and I want to be also seen for who I am, which don't we can't go together. You can't hold back yourself and be seen for who you are. So they're contradictory.
Yeah.
And just so in that space of just wanting to be seen and then not happening, I think that's why I was like, you know what, I'm going to be seen. You know, I want to be seen. This is the whole reason why I'm doing. So that was a big challenge for me, just the finding so much identity in relationship to make up for my lack of identity through occupation and my lack of identity through through money. It just that's where it went to me. It went to I want to be seen by somebody, and I wanted to be seen, the sacrifices that I'm making internally to be the good Ronald, the good kid.
Right. Right.
So that was very that was a lot of the challenges I faced.
Right. Yeah, I understand that, and like I said, it's two different dynamics. The one wants to be who's always seen. It still ends up coming to the same point. Uh,
Right.
that without Christ,
Yeah.
you start longing for attention. You
Yeah. It's
know.
a dead end either way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a dead end.
It's a dead end either way.
So, was there a specific moment that started your journey towards Christ?
So, like I said, that moment in the when I was and then it's ironic that I got baptized on my sister's birthday, so of that year. Um, so that started it. That relationship. Did I fully understand? I mean, again, as I was thinking about these questions and thinking back, did I fully understand the relationship with Christ? I don't think I did, because it's still one of those things where I'm saved, but then it's just on Sundays where I don't listen to Christian music and all those kind of things, and the rest of the week is I'm doing. Um, I did want to know about God, but I didn't. It didn't occur to me that being Christian meant being like Christ for some reason.
Okay.
Because I guess because the atmosphere around me was you go to church.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until really, um, again, this is in. So I got baptized. That was in Germany. When I came back here, my aunt got married, and we at some point we stayed with my aunt and my uncle Mel, who's been like a second father figure to me, and he was a godly man, and so interactions with him, he's very selfless. He's a person that is always just trying to help, trying to keep the principles of what it means to be godly, very simplistic, and just having a lot of talks with him, being there with them. He supported, him and my aunt did a lot of support for me when I was through college. A lot of those interactions, and then going to church with him, rededicating my life, I think that's those things that help. So having that role model, um, that helped me to understand what the godly man actually, what
Yeah.
that looked like,
Yeah.
and who it was for. It's just not for the sake of you just being godly, and it's not for this. You're not living on earth just so you can get to heaven. You're living on earth to do what God's
Yeah.
purposes and live out His purposes.
Yeah. That's good. And what did coming to Christ begin to change in your life, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually?
So, and this is a process. It's still a process, as you would say. It's a
Yeah,
process.
yeah,
So, one thing that I know, this is just a sidebar, that when I listen to people that do interviews, podcasts, or anything, it's like they always sound like they've arrived. I'm like, if they're always talking as if, oh yeah, I've arrived at this, point to where it's just like everything is done. Like I'm
yeah.
complete. And it's like I mean, nobody's that. Like, no,
Yeah,
it's
the
still a
minute, the minute
growing
the camera
process.
go off, the
Right.
minute the camera go off, it's like,
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, it's still growing processes. So I still say it's a process of renewal, like renewing your mind. That's a process. That's constantly happening
can I
for me.
stop you
But
there? Can I stop
go
you
ahead.
there? This is what I
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
My verse, I woke up out of my sleep this morning with Romans 12, 1 and 2.
Wow.
And I was towards the end, I was going to introduce us, talk about the renewing of your mind, transforming. So I had that's
Yeah. Right.
the person I was gonna end with. But go sorry, but go ahead. I had
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No. 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 No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the process that you're doing. And I was even thinking about, man, it's just amazing. So even to recently, so I'll just say the most recent thing of just my mind just rechanging it is, like I said, I'm a big person on I graduated with a physics degree, so so again I ask questions. I ask questions. I'm inquisitive by nature. I want to understand things, but there's a part of me that tends to, math sciences I lean on heavily. I give a lot of credence to what I read in math books and science books, and then just thinking about, do I look at the Bible the same way? There's a sense that you come to when you read things, I think, on the earth that you just take for granted as truth. And then when it comes sometimes coming to the Bible, there's things that are still up for debate. There's and not in the sense that maybe you just don't, not in the sense of not understanding, you want to understand it. Some of it's just in the sense of, well, I don't think I agree with it. And for some reason, I don't do that when it comes to 2 + 2 is 4.
right.
2 + 2 is just 4. But somehow when the Bible is talking about something, there's a sense of, well, maybe there's a different, and I realize it's just because when there's there's a understanding that, for me mentally, this has to constantly occur, is that God is really the foundation of everything. Every truth is in Him. And then everything that's outside of that, we should be questioning those things, not questioning Him.
Right.
But it's because there's such a natural tendency to believe what you feel, what you see, what you've experienced, than to just be like, that's just, I mean, even though I experienced something different, the word says, that I've never seen, of the righteous out hunger and begging for bread. It's like, well, I felt like I was righteous, and I was like, well, maybe you weren't. If you were in that state, maybe you're not as righteous as you thought. You know what I mean? Like, instead of questioning that, to just question, that's just example, but questioning what have I been trained to think instead? Because all of our thinking is darkened because of the fall. Like, we
Yes.
don't reason properly, So even coming to God, it's like we want to bring our broken reasoning and try to understand Him, and it doesn't work that way. The only way we understand Him is by the Holy Spirit. So I think a lot of that has helped to change my mental understanding, and then emotionally, like you said, understanding my identity is in Him, and
Yes.
working out that, my acceptance is by Him. And it doesn't make sense that we struggle with acceptance from each other when we have a God that accepts us.
Yeah.
It really doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like, why does that matter
Right.
if He accepts me, that I'm struggling with whether you see? And again, because we get into this thing of like, well, I see you, I hear you in front of me, and so you have more presence in my life. And that
Yes.
just doesn't make sense when you have God that is with you and abides in you. That His voice should matter the most. So
Yeah.
it's like that constantly renewing that's been changing, I'd say.
Right. And when you were saying some of the things we question in the Bible, and we trying to figure it out, and you said 2 + 2 is 4, you get that, but the Bible, and I was thinking, like, I like to watch nature.
Mm,
I love watching nature stuff because it just shows the awe of God.
mm.
Like he created us special, and we have dominion over these things, and we watch it and see it unfold naturally every day. Like I'm just amazed. And as you were speaking, I was thinking you have birds that migrate hundreds and hundreds of miles
Mm.
instinctively. We don't question that. They do it, but then
Yep.
we have the
You just take
God.
it for granted.
We
Mm-hmm.
have the God that after the flood put these animals into the ark, let it flood, and then these animals were set free. And from them animals there's still animals from them.
Yeah.
We don't question that. But we question the God who did that. I mean, it's an
Yeah.
amazing,
Mm-hmm.
our God is so amazing that we question the Bible, but we are seeing the evidence
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
every day. Like we
Yeah.
call ourselves smarter than animals, right? That's we
Mm-hmm.
are, but they do extraordinary things. The same God that created us is the same God that created them. We can watch it play out in the earth. But if he said, love thy neighbor as thyself, we question it. If he said, no one comes through the Father except through me, Christ said it. We have people questioning it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But every day we see the evidence of his power and we still question it. I just,
Yeah.
I mean, when Noah opened it, he sent the bird out to see if the water receded. If the bird didn't come back, he know the water receded. They can
Yep.
get out. Think about how amazing
Yeah.
that is, right?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
So I understand why people question. It's because of the fall, because of sin. But
But but the funny thing is, and Pastor just mentioned this, the person who doesn't question it is Satan himself. Because he
right,
was there. Like he's the one who's like, I was part of that whole process. I ain't got no questions.
right.
I started this whole thing. We
Right.
question it, we all over the
I
place. He's
know
like,
why you question. I
I'm
know why
very
you
clear. I'm
question it
very clear.
because I did that.
All right. Because I started this whole thing. Yep. Keep on going. That's right. We still asking the same question that he posed to us. Is like, does God really want to keep something from you?
Right.
The same question.
Same question.
It's the same question.
Yeah. So, wow. So why do you think? Well, I guess we kind of talk about it. Why do you think so many people struggle to find their identity today? We kind of talked about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fallen nature, and we the heart is desperately wicked. It's constantly, so there's an innate desire that's supposed to be filled by God that we just fill with everything else. And that's what the fall did. It took the natural place that God was supposed to have in our heart, and then it didn't remove him from that space because he's still in us, he's still there because he's still God. But it took our focus and shifted it. So now we're spending all this time adding in this garbage. It's interesting because the knowledge that we received, quote unquote, and somebody said this on some debate I was asking. You said they were talking about God and with Adam and Eve, and they God want Adam and Eve to remain stupid or remain ignorant. Um, and there's a premise in the question of like, well, God doesn't want you to know something because he's like a dictator trying to keep you down. No, he doesn't. There's things we don't need to know because it's not beneficial for us.
Right.
It wasn't when Adam and Eve got education. It did not help them.
No.
It made them worse.
Right.
And ever since then, right, there wasn't even a need to do it. Like that was the whole point. Now shame entered the world because of your quote unquote knowledge. And so we spend all this time. And I just had we did a devotion talking about when Christ is talking to the disciples about don't forbid the kids from coming to me. Everyone who comes to the kingdom has to come like a child. That part of the things that coming in the child is dependency on, but part of it is just the awe of God, like you were talking about. We lose our sense of awe
Yes.
and things become complacent. And as things become complacent in our relationship with God, we look for other things to keep that same hype. So we're all
Yes.
addicts in a way of just looking for something to get us to the next high. But
Right.
our nature in the fallen nature is we get bored whatever new thing we have, no
Right.
matter what it is or how
Yeah.
much you wanted it.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you get bored of it after some period of
Yeah.
time. And that even happens with God when we're looking at him or we're interacting from a flesh side. And so
Right.
then we're constantly finding
Right.
something to fill it. And
Right.
that's the ongoing thing that's why so many people struggle with the identity. Just like pulling things from so many places to fill that space.
Yes. Yes. That's true. So you going into the next one, actually. What does it truly mean to find your identity in Christ?
Yeah, it means that you believe who he is and what he says.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're resting in him, that the gospel is true. Like that there was a God that created you for the purpose of that relationship. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
And the reason why you're struggling is because sin entered the world. There was a separation that happened between you and God, and you're in a free fall into death,
Yeah.
and that you couldn't do anything about it. Like there's nothing you can do when you spend all your time trying to come back up, trying to stop yourself from falling, and there's nothing you can do until Christ, God sends his son as a sacrifice for the price of sin, and
Yes.
he rescues you. Like he
Yes.
reaches out, he catches you, and you have the opportunity to grab his hand to hold on to him. And then from that moment, once you do that, then your life is back with him. The whole purpose of your existence is to be connected to him. And anytime we're in that pocket, anytime we're in that space where it's like, you know what? Pastor said this before, like, you know what? I'm going to heaven. You know what? I have a relationship with God. You know what? The God of the universe is
Right.
indwelling and with me. That no matter what I go through, is for his good, for his purposes, for his kingdom. And at the end of the day, my eternity is spent with that God who loves me, where all tears are wiped away, all sin is removed. I ain't got to struggle in the flesh anymore. Like,
Right.
what am I getting? What am I tripping over? Like, what is there to be upset about? What is there to be worried about? What anxieties I have? I know I have a high priest who understands the things I've gone through. He came in the flesh,
Yes.
restricted his own power to live a fleshly life for the purpose of sharing who he is with the world,
Right.
and then dying on behalf of the world. Like he went through all the experiences as a righteous, like the only righteous being, person, man, went through all the experience of what it is like to be unrighteous through
Right.
our skin, through our fleshly and frailty. And he did that all for me, and he
Yes.
did it all for each one of us. And then it's like when we stay in that space and we're just dwelling in that, that's when our identity is most confirmed, assured, we're most at peace. And then when we're outside of that, that's when it's believer, unbeliever. Now as an unbeliever, you ain't got no option but to be in that space.
Right.
But as a believer, you when you're in that space, then it's all good. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say? Because you are a thinker. You at one point or now you like things proven. You let me
Yeah.
see it. Um. So what do you say to somebody who's anxious or who has anxiety or who has a big decision to make? And their thought they like to analyze everything, and from your growth in Christ,
Yeah.
what do you recommend to them?
Yeah. So for myself, I I think in every rooted in every fear, every anxiety is a sense of control, right? We
Mhm.
don't have anxiety about the things that we absolutely control. Like I can pick up this cup. I don't have any anxiety about whether it's, I have full confidence I could pick this cup up and I won't drop it. Now, if you can imagine, if I couldn't control my limbs
Right.
and I had some sense of where there was a issue where my nerves won't act, there would be some anxiety. Am I going to spill it? Is this
Yeah.
going to tilt over? So it comes back to our sense of control, I think. And so God is partnering with us, but He's always the one that's in control.
Mhm.
Like it's not like the ball drops. Like we feel like if we carry, we're carrying like this glass porcelain that's God's plan.
Right.
And if we don't make the right decision and it drops, it's shattering, it's over. I guess all that he planned from eternity past to now is done.
Right.
Like Ron messed it up. That was it.
Right. Right.
That was your one chance. Just the one chance to get her. And now it's over with. And it's just not like that. And I think we just have to really depend more. Like we study, we do what we can to find out. But at the end of the day, if we keep in the back of our mind that the Lord is always working all things in the good for those who love Him, and it's called according to His purpose,
right.
Then we can make the decision, even if the decision. Because the other thing is that we can't make determination if a decision is good or bad by consequences.
Right.
Because again, that Jesus throws that out the window. His consequence was death. His consequence was rejection. His consequence was that He was berated, that He was whipped, He was beaten to unrecognized. So how could, if we were looking at, well, if I'm doing the right thing, people are going to love me, that goes out the window. So it has to really be just, okay, God, I'm going to make this decision. I pray that You are with me and You're with me in my process, and maybe even in whatever happens that quote unquote goes not according to the plan. Maybe that's because You want me to learn something out of it.
Yes.
From our time, just on being in the ministry, that things go according to plan all the time. And we're stressing like we want this to go well, Lord, so that You get the glory. And it's like, I get the glory either way. And there's something I might need You to see even in the failing, like even in the thing that's not going right, I may need You to grow in some way. Right. And even when you think about Paul has this experience in Corinthians where he sees visions of heaven. And then immediately after that, there's a thorn that's put in his side, a messenger from Satan that Paul asked the Lord to remove 3 times. And then God says, no, my grace is sufficient for you. My power made perfect in your weakness. So there was nothing that Paul did wrong. There's, it was just his ailment was just for God to get the glory and for Paul to remain humble. Right. So I think we just have to relieve some of that pressure off of us, and some of the false humility, some of the pride, that we're really the ones that are in control. It's really depending on us. And there's this thing by Francis Chan that said, it's not about you. And I remember this when it comes to shame. He says, it's not about you. Because if you make it about your failures, you'll also make it about your successes. Mm-hmm. So if it's you when you fail, it's you when you succeed, you're the centerpiece, and that's wrong either way. Yes. So I think that mindset helps us to release some of that anxiety, yes. At the end of the day.
Yeah, because a lot of times, I think a few Sundays back, we laughed because it's all. Yeah. At one point, when something goes wrong, we used to lose it. I know I did. Mm-hmm. And then something went wrong, and because we've been talking about it and praying about it and talking about stay in control, basically, no matter what, let God work through us and let God get the glory no matter what happens. Something took place again, and we just all laugh. Yep, it's like expected. This happened, and we just all wrestled through it. I don't even know if we wrestled. I don't think any of us. It was just
that's just
it's something all of us, but especially we've been working on. If something goes wrong during an encounter, and I think we tend to think that people see it. We're afraid of people. We failed. Mm-hmm. We're afraid of the world seeing it. Like when Adam and Eve sinned, they covered themselves. They was the only ones there in the apple.
and they've been seeing each other the whole time.
God knows everything. And they cover themselves. That's what we that's what we do. Yeah. We fail and we clothe ourselves, we cover ourselves, thinking we covering ourselves, exposing to the whole world. And it's, at the end of the day, it's not about the whole world. It's about your representation in the world from God.
Yeah.
And I think if we recognize we are representing the Lord, and the Lord knows it all, so in our failures, He knows that too. And I think a lot of people are scared to fail. Uh, they don't
Mm,
looked at a certain way. They want to make sure everything is perfect for the camera of the
yeah.
world. And if
Yeah. Yeah.
they just wake up and say, Lord, what is it you have for me to do? What does that look like? That could look bad for people. You know what I mean? Like, just
Mm,
imagine you have the disciples uh healing people, and God gave them the power to heal, and people was coming to Christ, but that they died gruesome deaths. You know,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Paul knowing God, but he gets stoned. Stephen is preaching the word, he gets crucified,
He's killed.
stoned,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you got killed, and you got Peter, as powerful as Peter became, he failed before it. He failed before Christ. God told him, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Peter thought he was doing something great. Like, I'm defending the Lord.
He absolutely believed in
He
that
believed
moment. Oh no, I would because God just told him, oh yeah, you can hold from the Holy Spirit. He's like, oh well, then in that case, you don't need to go to the cross.
right, right. God,
That's
oh,
crazy.
now you
Now
opposite
now
on
you
it.
off. Now you
Now you are. But
you
so
off.
I think
Mm.
people, if people understand this, if this people stop taking themselves so seriously.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Stop taking
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah, we can't even control the sun coming up. Like, we
We
can't
can't control us waking up.
we can't we
Right.
can't
Right.
control
Yeah.
waking up, and
Yeah.
we can't control the sun. We can't control the rain, the snow. Like, it's stuff we flat out can't control. If we take that approach with giving God our life, it would take a lot of pressure off. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of that is and thank God for the Holy Spirit because there's a line that we're meant to walk. So on one side you have the space of where we're over analyzing, like okay, we're being too critical, we're kind of being a Martha in the situation where like we want everything to line up because we want God to get glory. But part of us that are doing that is because we're trying to counteract the opposite side where somebody else is like, well, it's fine. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
Now we get
yeah, that's true.
we're like, well, I
That's
don't
true.
want to be like that. I don't want
Yeah,
to be where I'm just
yeah,
like, well, it's just lackadaisical. It'll all work out at the end of the day. But there's a space where God wants us to just be maybe at times where it's just like, you know what, God's got it. And at other times it's like, you know what? No, I need to be on point for this because it's something, but there's that line where we only can walk, by spirit. I mean, you think about it, we know that because when Moses is told to strike a rock and then not strike a rock, the same thing was done both times, but the
right,
difference was that God told him not to do it one time and
right,
to do it one other time.
yeah,
That was
right,
it.
right,
Even though it's the same action,
right,
God is who made the difference in where that now you're not in the promised land because your
right,
attitude, because I told you not to do it. So that's, I think, if we're just not trying to base it off of our understanding, our human understanding,
right,
because God's ways are higher than our ways,
right,
and are just like you said, relaxing in okay who God is, and God is not. It's like we think that God is unaccustomed to failure. The whole reason why He entered the world and had the relationship was because of the failure.
yes,
And you, all of history past, the first murder, Cain and Abel, like if there's any time for a plan to go all awry after Adam and Eve,
right,
now you
right.
got a murder, and we're talking about our own lives, something planned that's not happening. Like
Right.
the first murder, that's when I'm like, oh man, that's it,
Yeah.
that's it. Like we could have came back after Adam and Eve with the fruit.
Right.
No, that's over. A man killed his brother. He killed his brother. Oh no, that's a wrap. We
Right.
starting over. Like,
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
going downhill. So because I mean, the God is He's been looking throughout the whole. So that's why if we like you said, take some of the pressure off ourselves. God sees everything
Right.
and every person, and has
Yes.
been with us through all the rebellions of the
Yeah.
as the Israelites, through the disciples leaving and abandoning, Jesus. Like
Right.
what I mean. From
Right.
from then on, like there's been. for Corinth and people sleeping with each other's fathers and mothers and all that kind of
Right.
thing, and then people being bewitched by. We were even talking in Titus and um, about these false prophets or that unbelievers who are swaying people away from the like.
Right.
All of that's happened already and
And
still
it's
happening
happening now.
now. Right, it's still going on. That God is not surprised. He's not anxious.
Right.
He's not up there twiddling his thumb, like biting his nail,
Right.
like I don't know how this is gonna work out.
Right.
And I think we just gotta just
And what's
believe,
the
just
verse?
like you said.
It says, "Don't count it as slackness." The
What was
verse,
that?
"Don't count it as slackness." Don't call God as being slack.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not slack.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
he wants
Right.
everyone to come
He
to
wants
him.
right. He
Yeah.
wants to. He's right. He's slow. He's slow to anger. He's slow to wrath. The verse.
So the rap,
He's
yeah,
long suffering. That's what
yeah.
he is. Like
And
he.
people take that as he's not
Right.
paying attention.
Right.
No, it's
Yeah.
because he is mindful of you. It's
Throughout
why
eternity. Right.
throughout
He's been
eternity. It's
waiting.
why we're not seeing him destroy the earth yet, or him came
Yeah.
back.
Right.
So,
If you think about it, even if he's saying, if that means if Psalm 139 talking about he's mindful, like, but even before in the mother's womb, that
yes,
means from beginning of creation to now, he would have waited even just for you, Deacon Renino Brooks, to know him. Even just
right,
for me, Ronald Hunter, he would have endured
yeah,
because of you wanting to have a relationship with them.
yes,
Like
yeah.
that's
That's
because
good.
he's long. So you know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
Like
yeah,
he
that's
endured all that because each person is that important to him.
right, right. Yeah, that's good. If he said before I knew your substance in Psalms 139, I seen you before you were seen.
Yeah.
He let all of this come. So everyone who's born and coming through, he knew it from the beginning, and yet he's still on the throne, waiting for you to be born, waiting for people to be born, waiting for more people to be saved, waiting for more people to come to him. He's actually and that's just the love.
Right.
And think about it. He knows how Ron and Reno is going to be through life, and he still said they can be born. I'm still going to let you. I'm still going to. I know you're going to have an alcohol problem for me and a drug problem, and you're going to do all this stuff, but yet I'm still going to wait for you to be born because I am that mindful. Because at the end, I have a plan and a purpose for mankind to have a relationship with me, and you're going to be a part of that person who has a relationship with me. So I'm that loving that I'm gonna wait for you to go through everything.
Yeah.
Go through
Each person. Not even right. Yeah. Yeah. Even and I'm gonna interrupt you, but even after you're born, because it's not like you're born and you immediately go to him. It's not like, okay, I waited for you and now you're here and then you fall in love with me immediately.
Right.
Then you wilding out. Like, you still acting crazy. And I'm still waiting. Like that each person, it's not. I used to think of it, and this is something also you talk about growing in your understanding. That there's a sense of like, oh, God got a group discount on humanity. Right. It's just everybody. He's like, but no, he does not. He leaves the 99 for the one, and each of us are that one. Right. Each of us are that one to him, and that Christ would have died on the cross for just one of us because he loves us. Like he loves us individually. That he's waiting for you. Not just like, oh, I'm just gonna get. Well, I might as well get Reno and Ron. I mean, I'm getting everybody else. So like, no, it's just like there's a purposed intentionality to his love that's independent.
Yeah, and that's good. And just think, for we are born into sin, and even that alone, like, yep, everybody coming through born into sin, but because I'm the loving God, I'm still waiting for you, and I'm still loving you to the point. And so a few more questions, and we pretty much wrapped up a lot of the questions that we had. But I'm gonna go down to 15. What does walking confidently in your identity in Christ look like today for you personally?
So for me, it looks like I've been working more so on, because again, my history and my past is holding things in, not talking about how I'm feeling about something, And for me, it's been more of just trying to be more of just who I am before people, and how I feel to express probably at least more to those, or you, especially to those are closer, but to bring up issues that I feel like I have, or whatever those cases. And just knowing that he's designed me, he's made me as I am, um, and that I don't have to perform. Like there's no need to perform to be something that I'm not. I could just be who he's called me to be. And so then that this even helping to not define things by success or failure, but just by is this guy going to get the glory out of this? Because if I'm defining things by success and failure, then I'm going to by nature just also apply that to myself. Am I a success? Am I a failure? So I think that walking confidently has been just to try to just to trust him more, and not to have so much anxiety about things. I guess like just for the sound team, it's AV team, it's his ministry
Yeah.
that I'm partnering with him with. With my marriage, that the goal is that I want to love him, to love her as he has loved me, and that I'm trying to put that at the forefront when my flesh is trying to rise up and those kind of things. All those things. Even when I share the gospel, that was not something that I was doing. So that's a positive. I mean, I'm a reserved person, but to get out there like this is an important message. So to start practicing it, to go out with other brothers and other believers to share the word, who God is and what the good news of all of creation is.
Right.
So I think those things have helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's good. And you pretty much to close the question.
Yeah.
Uh, Listening is trying. If someone is listening, trying to find their purpose, identity in Christ, what is one piece of advice you would leave them?
Yeah, I would say read the word. It definitely starts with reading the word. And I know. I mean, some things they say, some things are trite, because it's true. Like you say it because it's true. There's a
Mhm.
practice to it, and there's a truth to it. Sometimes you're trying to find new ways and new things of doing something. It's just
Yeah.
like always a new way, and then sometimes you don't need a new way. You probably just need to practice or really meditate on an old way sometimes. Sometimes it's a different perspective, but sometimes new. So reading the word, I think finding a verse that actually resonates with you, speaking it to you, rehearsing that to you, um, doing Bible studies helps to know the word. Like getting involved with the Bible study helps you to understand the word properly, and read through it. Taking time to pray, and this is something that this is always a process for me of growing and praying and talking with God and being around other believers, being around other people who are like-minded that are going to be helping you grow, to challenge you, um, who have the best in for you, have your best interests at heart. And so I think all those things are helpful, and just not you're not the end of it. You're not the solution to your problem. Jesus is. So
Yes.
the self-help doesn't work because you're the problem. So you can't be this. You're just not the solution because you're the problem. Like
Right.
a broken car doesn't fix itself.
Right.
Like there needs an outside source
Yes.
to come in to fix it. The person who created it and designed it. So
Right.
I think that's part of it. Just you don't put so much weight onto to yourself. Go to God. Go to Christ. Give your cast your anxieties to Him. That's what Peter says,
Yeah.
and that's what I would say.
And community, this like you touched on, community is very important. Find yourself other believers who's like-minded, who's focused on our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and our Father who sent the Son to die for us is most important. So this is we're going to end this now, and I thank you, Ron, for coming on.
Yep.
And this is all a part of my book, Become. It's learn to become who you created to be. It's from Psalms 139. We're all chosen. I mean, well, God chooses us. He designed us. He created us. But because of sin, we don't know who we are. So we have to go to Christ to find out who we are. So it's learn to become who you created to be. And how do you find that? You go to the one who created us, which is our Lord and Savior. He sent his Son on behalf of us because we couldn't do it ourselves. that we may be saved. On the third day, he rose from the dead, and it's just up to us to make that decision to come towards him.
Amen.